Peace, everybody. What's up? I'm gonna do a video keeping with consistency. Let me just stop saying keeping with consistency. Just do a video every day. It's easy to do. It doesn't take much. Just a couple of minutes out of my day. Share a couple of thoughts that I thought about based on research, history, life experiences. But I want to talk about value and how people need to learn how to take control of what they value and stop being dictated to as far as what true value really is. See, we've been brainwashed to value money, dollars. What is this? These dollars, right? We value, these pieces of paper, and the so-called black people, who I choose to call Moors, the Moors, because the Moor is an ancient people that has immense impact on history and society and culture and technology and language. They're like inseparable, because most of modern civilization is based on Moors and the Moorish contributions, economics, dealing with commerce, law, dealing with language, mathematics, science, engineering. So I'm gonna call us Moors. The Moors. Also, there's a lot of cities in Illinois and in Wisconsin with the suffix Moor, like Flossmoor, Lake Moore, Bryn Mawr. So obviously this was a Moorish territory at one point, because why would they have literally Moors in a lot of these cities' names, But we've been brainwashed to value pieces of paper with our oppressor on them, our slave masters on them. Who is this? Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson, right? He committed genocide on the Native Americans with the Indian Removal Act. He's on a $20 bill. And the Moorish people do not really value anything other than what the dominant society dictates to us. They tell us this money is valuable. And because we believe it's valuable, it is valuable. Now, say for instance, the Moorish people determine that we will not accept money with our oppressors on them, then this dollar would drop drastically. It would probably be worth nothing. They would have to change. And it was talking about putting Harriet Tubman on the dollar. They would have to change the picture of the dollar because it doesn't have value, and we refuse to accept coin and tender what our oppressors, historic slave masters, don't do. Benjamin Franklin, Andrew Jackson, Thomas Jefferson. Who else? Who's on the 10? Whatever, forget him. Andrew Johnson. The only one that's cool, I would say, is Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln, the $5 bill. That's the only one we should accept. But I'm gonna tell y'all something interesting about value. They talk about this thing, Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is digital currency based on people's computers, like on servers, and they somehow mine this currency. They say this Bitcoin is worth $40,000 per coin. 40,000 per coin. Yet it's not even something you could physically touch. It's just that because billionaires determine that it's valuable, therefore it's valuable. The important people said it's valuable, even though it's something that's abstract. It's more valuable than gold. And gold is something that you have to get out the earth. It's actually tangible. And people choose to value things based on the commands and the instructions of the dominant oppressive society. But people can determine what's valuable on their own condition. You know, they could say, my children are valuable. You know, the Moorish women in America, a lot of them don't believe that their own children are valuable. So they choose to kill the children, abort the children, and give the body away for free to the scientists to extract and mine the body full of stem cells and other research, because they told the so-called Moorish women that their bodies are worthless. Their bodies are useless. They are useless, and because they believe they are useless, they act as though they are useless. And they tell the Moorish people that a Louis Vuitton symbol printed on leather is valuable, and the name Gucci and Nike is valuable. But Nike is valuable because of the athletes. Michael Jordan is valuable, not Nike. But they don't believe Michael Jordan is valuable because he's a Moor, but his ability. They don't believe the Moorish people are valuable, yet their music, the things that they create, is valuable. How can you create something that's valuable if you're not valuable? They say the woman who developed the coronavirus vaccine, Kizzmekia Cober, they say she's not valuable because she's a Moor. But how is she not valuable if the company that she created the vaccine for went up billions of dollars in their stock? Moderna was trading at $12 last year. Now it's trading at over $150, $124. So it literally earned billions of dollars because of this one Moor. You know, and they say your ancestors are not valuable, so it's not even worth thinking about the ancestors. But if the ancestors are not valuable, why are you charging people thousands of dollars to learn their principles in your universities? Why are you holding their artifacts and selling them for millions of dollars, billions of dollars that you're earning off of displaying our ancestors' artifacts if they're not valuable? You see, everybody that has existed has an estate, you know, because the things that belong to you and the debt that you had also is linked to your estate. Like, you still, even though you're dead, your possessions and your debts and contracts have value. Now, imagine what our ancestors' estates were. Whole entire countries, whole entire cities with property and land, resources, minerals, techniques, industries. They say that the first industrial power was the Carthaginians, who allegedly don't exist anymore. Funny how these ancient so-called Moorish civilizations, who the Caucasian can't really claim as their own, doesn't exist anymore. Funny how they don't exist anymore, but their technology exists. Their ships, their contracts and treaties, they have value. But because the descendants don't have access, it's like, okay, if your grandmother, grandfather, or your relative die, right? If they perish, like with Prince, if they perish, and you don't have like a will, a last will attested, describing who gets what, the state will seize control of the estate, and a judge will actually distribute the resources in probate court. See, the estate takes the estate because the state is the estate. Like all of these states in America is literally allegedly abandoned, unclaimed property of the original descendants. But because the original descendants are not taught that their ancestors are valuable, and their ancestors had claims and treaties and contracts and property, and money, we don't really go into it. Even if a relative was to die and left you some money, if you don't believe it, you're not going to pursue to retrieve what is yours, and somebody else is going to be by default utilizing your resources. Like in a Magna Carta written in I think it was the 12th century in England, they put in there a provision to protect the property of orphans until they reach maturity. The state or somebody must be in charge of the orphan's property until the orphan reaches maturity, adulthood. Then the property must be given to the orphan. Now, who is the orphan in America? The orphan in America is the Moor, who doesn't really know who their parents are. We know who our direct biological parents are, but we don't really know who our ancestral parents are. And nobody has been holding our inheritance with good faith of returning it to us. They're holding our inheritance, they're holding it for themselves. Why would you tell a person that they're a billionaire if you could just not tell them they're a billionaire and you could live in their mansions? You could portray yourself as them. See, these cities in America, also cities in Africa and in Europe, all over the world, a lot of these ancient cities are our inheritance. And the whole world is conspiring because they have a lot to lose if they was to be just by the Moors. I'm gonna call us the Moors. I ain't gonna call us the blacks. Colored terms. I'm not gonna call the Caucasians white people. I'm gonna call them Caucasians because I believe that the Moors actually developed the term Caucasian. I was listening to General Seti from Detroit. I feel like a few days ago, he was talking about how the Germans created history and anthropology as a study. Before they did that, nobody studied like anthropology, and nobody studied history as a serious craft. It makes sense because this is my opinion. This is not what he said. Because every people have a unique history and unique beliefs. Like some people believe that the Bible and the Quran is the history. And because this is a collective belief of that particular country and nation, it's not really questioned. China have a belief system now is communism. In Japan, they still have their original history and belief. Like every nation has a history. And this is good because if you really want to know the truth about the world, it's better to have different opinions, different approach. Like in the New Testament, you have the gospel with 4 different perspectives. I think it's Luke, John, Mark, and who else? Matthew. The four people that observe Jesus have a slightly different opinion about him. But you could cross-examine each story to get more truth. But when you have just one, what do you call it? When you have scholars agreeing on one particular side of the story, and you're going to teach this, and when you teach this, you have to give a grade on the story. You can't have about 10 different stories, even though there's probably 20 different perspectives to the story. But you have to cut out a lot of vital information. Like in the United States, they teach us from the perspective of the Caucasians, conquerors. They call them the frontier men, the founding fathers. But we don't really get the perspective of the indigenous people. We don't get the perspective of the French, the Dutch, the German people, the British people, the Spanish, the Aztec. We don't get anybody's opinion other than the so-called founding fathers that expanded from the 13 colonies, and their opinion are very biased. They start off with the American Revolution. They don't talk about their own like captivity. They don't talk about the Dark Ages. They choose to talk about the best aspects and the most heroic aspects of their people, and they give no credence or no room to explain an opposing view of people that were here with a whole different history and culture. And then if you really want to study those particular aspects of history, you have to take different classes that specialize in those aspects. But it's all a scam. But value itself, if we valued our own self and we saw ourselves as descendant of the people, the greatest people ever to live, like we have so many great artists, because art is valuable. They say Bitcoin is valuable, but they say Lil Wayne just sold his music for $100 million. Music. This man can make music until the day for 1 billion years. You know, what's more valuable, music or Bitcoin, or music or dollars? You trade dollars for something that's irreplaceable. You know, you have paintings, you have architecture, you have, like in Chicago, the city is so wicked. We have obviously ancient Carthaginian buildings with irreplaceable artwork and masonry. They come and tear these buildings down, and they rebuild a flat, lifeless structure. When you could have just kept it, but if they keep the original structure, it has each structure has a signature to it. People can trace that signature back into a particular civilization and those techniques they use. And it's like literally millions of Carthaginian Moorish buildings in Chicago, and they tore down a lot of them. But there's so many, they would have to destroy the whole city, really. This lets me know the city was built before the Caucasian got here. Not just Chicago, but the whole entire country. This is an ancient civilization. And it had to take at least 10, 20,000 years, probably more, to build a country like this with the complete infrastructure. The whole country has running water. Every major city has running water. This was with the signature of the Carthaginians. Like every major city of Carthage had sewer systems, pipes, lead pipes, and running water. And when the Romans allegedly conquered the Carthaginians, we don't even know if that's true. The Romans acquired that infrastructure. So people associate the running water with the Romans, but that's really the Carthaginians. But we must value ourselves. We must choose what to value. We can't keep taking these dollars with these slave masters on them, these with genocidal murderers on them. And black people, so-called Moorish people, so-called black people, they do a lot of evil things for this paper. They set people up. They kill each other for paper because we value this paper and the cloth. We value paper and cloth, but we don't value the buildings, the architecture, the cities that our people, because we don't know. We don't know. A lot of us don't know. If we knew what our estate really is and what is our inheritance as a people, because a people can have an inheritance. Like when the so-called Jews was given reparations by the atrocities of Nazi Germany, they were paid as a people. Even though all of them didn't go through it, all of them benefited as a people. And we must, not only must we benefit if they ever decide to give reparation, but we need to just claim our inheritance. And we need to know who our parents are. We are the orphans, and a stranger is utilizing our property and spending our money and wearing our clothes. We need to try to get that back. We need to get that back. We need to get rid of the form. Like everybody, in the United States is a foreign invader except the Moor. They tell us they brought certain people here, a certain amount of people, 5,000 here. But we have millions of people in the United States and also in the islands in South America. We have artifacts of Montezuma. Montezuma was a black man, obviously. So we the only people that really can prove that we are original in the United States. Not the Mongolian, Chinese, so-called fake Native Americans and the Caucasian Native Americans, because they don't really have a historic context or artifacts proving that they are the original people. But we have original artifacts with our people's signatures on them. But that's about it. I talked enough. I think I talked enough. How long this video went? 20 minutes.